Hello and welcome everyone to a brand new year and another episode of Align, where we help you align with your true self, others, and your desired outcome to live your best life. So today we have a very special guest, Yuen, who I think we've always kind of shared ideas about the topic of abundant mindset, right? Not living in any kind of limitation in any way, really going for it. And I figure this is the perfect topic to start off in 2021, kind of a clean slate from last year. And I would say more importantly, using the lessons learned and the reflections from 2020 to apply this year. And both you and I had really good experiences when we went to some of Tony Robbins' events. And it turns out that you and I really share a lot of the same teachings and same thoughts and philosophies that he has. So figure that you're the perfect person to discuss the topic of an abundant mindset.
Thank you so much, Jess. I'm so honored to be maybe your first guest to start the new year.
And you're the first guest of the year.
Yeah, super honored and very happy to talk about this very important concept.
Awesome. So I definitely want to start, the bottom line of mindset is thoughts. So I want to start with the power of your thoughts. There's one quote that I want to share is, nothing has any power over me other than that which I give through my conscious thoughts, right? So everything that has power over you is just your thought and what you put in your mind. So I do want you to kind of share, why is your thoughts so important?
Absolutely. So I think first I want to start to talk about why sometimes thoughts are unproductive. I would say most of the times, right? I even before Tony Robbins, I already know because I'm very into mindfulness. I think mindfulness, especially through 2020, the world in a crazy place, it becomes front and center for a lot of people. The mindfulness basically means that just focus at the moment, focus now. Because most of the time our thoughts are either in the past or for the future. And most of the times, those are just noise. I think we talk to ourselves unconsciously or consciously 1,000 times a day, or even more than 1,000 times a day. And most of those thoughts are not productive or not structured. And if we let our thoughts lead us, sometimes it's leading to nowhere. So I think it's important to understand how not productive your thoughts is, and then focus on the moment and try to channel your thoughts into a beautiful state instead of let them stay in an unstructured space and let your thoughts or your emotions guide you or misguide you most of the time.
Yeah, I love that. I agree with you. So I think one thing I always remind my relationships is, you are not your thoughts. Like,
Absolutely.
Your thought is your thought. It's separate
Yeah.
from you, very different, right?
Yeah.
And the concept is applied when, for example, if you think back of a memory that made you happy, right?
Yeah.
You actually feel the happiness. Your body relaxes, you're excited. When you think back of a scary memory or a sad memory, your body gets in contraction, right? So, but keep in mind, it's not physically happening to you right now.
Absolutely.
You just think of something in the past or the future and you feel it, right? Which just shows thoughts are so powerful and it can actually dictate your current experience. So it's so important that when you have, to your point, a bad thought, separate it, right? It's not you. And you can always redirect and create another thought to have another feeling. Go ahead.
So just to add on that, one of the technique that I learned from Tony Robbins, but also is a common thought just by reading through different mindfulness books, as you said, right, Jess, is to separate yourself from your thoughts. And you can even give yourself a name when you are in that bad state of mind, right? Like one of my biggest weakness, I would say, or challenges in my personality is I tend to worry. The reason that you tend to worry and get anxious is because you are not focused on the now. You're like, okay, you're regretting about what you didn't do in the past or what you have done wrong in the past, and you worry about the future. Like, what if I fail? What if in the future it doesn't happen? So in order to actually overcome that challenge in my personality, which runs through my family, it's kind of in our DNA as I would say, as Asian women, like as a gross generalization, right? It's how we talk. So I'm just stop this. This is not me. This is not Ewan. This is a worry, Lily. Like I give the state of Ewan a name that has nothing to do with me. I was starting to say like, this is not me. This is like worry Jenny, and Jenny is my like English name. And I realized, no, that is actually me. So you need to give yourself in a bad state a name that totally separate from your self identity. I'm like, really? I don't know what that is, but that's not me. So
yeah, I love that. I love that trick of the kind of disentangling your identity to giving a negative identity to whenever you're acting out of character, right?
Exactly.
Character. Another of two other tricks that I wanted to share on top of that. First is when you have a worry, right? When you're worrying, you're thinking about the future. How many times, and you think about it in the past, how many times have you worried about things that literally never happen? Like
most of the times.
Right? 95% of the things that we worry about never freaking happen. Or, for example, we have a huge presentation, we're so nervous about it. More often than not, you end up killing it. And you end up being like, wow, like that was not a big deal, right? So I think whenever I get nervous about the future or worry about the future, I just look back and I say, Jess, you've always figured everything out, right? And it's good that you are a planner. That's why you worry. You want to plan ahead, right?
Yeah.
You've always figured it out. What's any different from now? That's number one. And the second thing I would say is I think I've learned to be a little bit anti-Asian in a way where I plan everything, right? The magic is in the unknown. The beautiful things, the synchronicities, the things that you can't explain, that whether you believe in God or the universe or just gifts of life,
absolutely,
they come when you don't expect it, right? That's what they call surprises. If you can expect it, it's not that great, right? Versus if you met, like when you and I met serendipitously through Kathleen, right? We love you, Kathleen. Through Kathleen, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to meet this girl.
I had no idea this beautiful woman will come into my life.
Right? And I'm just like, wait, I like this girl, right? And like this whole friendship blossomed. So I always tell myself like the unknown is good. It's your friend. Use it.
It is so true. And I think it's a very non-Asian concept called let go, right? Like we freaking want to control every single detail of a process called life. But I totally agree with you. Like life, the beauty of life is surprises. And for me, it's even worse because I grew up in China, but I learned like freaking German. So like the combination of Asian and German engineering is just like, dude, like I have to plan everything out, like to the minute, to the second. And it's sometimes driving myself crazy. I'm like, are you crazy? Like, why are you wanting to be control of everything? The truth is, there's very little things we could control in life.
Yeah.
And to let go is to, like, our topic today is trust and abundance. Yes. I think I learned to not only trust myself, my instinct, but also trust the grace. Yes. You could call that God, you could call that, higher self, but it's to trust that universe will lead you, and it's always leading you. Just like Tony always mentioned that life happens for you, not happens to you. So to let go, to trust that you're always protected and guided is a concept that I think it's super powerful that I still need to work on, because I still have the tendency every day that I need to control something. I need to like plan my schedule to the dot. And then I realized this is stupid.
Yeah. And I feel the thing is when you do that, you actually miss out because you're so focused on the fear and the worry that you miss out on all the beautiful things that are happening. And so to your point about letting go, when you let go, you're able to kind of have a bigger picture and see all the blessings along the way. So I'll put you on that. So that's the mind, right? And I know you and I, and there's so many studies on this. I know this is a little bit common sense for people who study this, but for people who don't, like mind-body connection, it's actually stronger. Mind and body is one, right? It's not a connection, it's one. Yes. And so why it's so important that the reason is if you think a thought, right, it causes a feeling in your body, and that feeling drives your action, right? So that's how it's all interconnected. So obviously when you have your thoughts, therefore, if your thoughts control how you feel, your thoughts control your nervous system. So why it's so important to like also put your body in like a peak state or an elevated state in order to make better decisions, right? To have those high peak emotions, you can get have more productive action. So elevated energy, you went talk to me a little bit about like why that's important. How do we get there? What are some tips and tricks?
Okay, absolutely. I think that's also, again, it's important for, I keep on thinking our origin as Asian women, because I think in general, like, again, this is gross generalization, that we as Asians tend to think a lot, and we're not born like the best athlete, right? And, we tend to not use our body as much as, I'd say Hispanic or like African American. It's just like different origins are different. And this is what I learned, why it's so important for us Asians to understand this connection that you talk about, because I think we struggle in our nature to do that. Like, I look at my mom and dad, they never really exercise in their whole life. I was like, how is that possible? So I think the first thing is, I realized earlier in my life, even when I was in China, that like fitness and exercise is important, because when you are on the move, you're in a total different state. Tony Robbins always say, you're in your head, you're dead, right? Like if you're always focused on here, that's why I think we all tend to get like cold feet and cold hands, because too much energy is here. So the way to get it out is really just to get on a run and to jump. Like I jump ropes, I run every day, I have a routine. Let me talk about my routine, because I think that's actually really good to get oneself, to prime oneself, as Tony Robbins mentioned, right? So I wake up and then I would think about what I'm grateful for. Like first, to get your mind in a beautiful state of gratitude. And then like I get up, I get my coffee, and then I just don't, like, no makeup, nothing, get out like for a run. Or alternatively, I do yoga. So that kind of yoga and run combination, plus a meditation before or after your exercise. Like I alternate all of that just to find the best way that works for myself. It's different individually. And then I start to read the news, and then focus on what's the priority of my day. And I feel like that whole morning routine really helps me to prime and to get into a peak state. Like it's a combination through on the move, the movement, but also just being in there by meditation, and like slow down and remind yourself how grateful you are just to be alive, especially during this pandemic when a lot of people are dying. And then what's most important for you, like what's the meaning of your life and how you get there.
Right. I love that. You're very thoughtful about it. So I do want to share some tips and tricks, but we'll kind of to prime some tips and tricks. The key thing people don't realize is energy is developed. It's not born. It's not given, right? So I think you're one of the people who say this to me all the time, like, Jess, you're always so happy. You're always so like energetic. You're like bouncing off the walls. Like people call me the Energizer Bunny. And to your point, it is two things. It's I cultivate the energy. So I have my morning routines that I do, right? And secondly is I'm just absolutely certain of my why. So the reason why you have your emotions, right? The reason why you feel certain things or you get excited about life is because you know why you're here or you know what you want to do, right? So don't get me wrong. There's been plenty of times when I was in a role or in a career where I thought like, oh, this freaking sucks. I don't like it. Energy level low, productivity low, like energy, everything was low, right? The moment I left and went to the gym, I was like on a high. So like something was weird. Something was not aligned, right? But I would say first is remember the energy is developed. It's cultivated. It's not given. And the huge reason how you do it is to know your why. Like for example, there's an example that Tony used, and it really hit me. If there was like a $10 bill, okay, through barbed wire in a burning house in a home, right? And would you jump through all those hoops to go and get that $10 bill? Probably not, right? If that was your mother in that house,
I remember that.
You're gonna find a fucking way to break down, right? Like you're gonna go and figure it out. So it's like having the why and having a reason for doing things is what's gonna give you that energy, right? So the few things I would like tips and tricks is like first is know your why of why you're waking up, why you're doing certain things. Your picture, don't get in the minutia. Secondly is dancing, literally like shaking your.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Love that, right?
dancing and music. And for me, it's singing and dancing. It's so important. Bring me to a different state immediately.
Right, and I forgot which interview I saw, but there's a woman who's a Colombian dancer who talks about like why a lot of Latin American countries, like they may not, you know, of the poorer class, they may not have a lot of money, but they are always so happy.
Yes.
See the joy, right?
Yes.
Themselves,
yes.
just using their body. And I agree with you. You know, obviously we're stereotyping. Asians generally don't do a good job about that, right?
Yes.
Way too like analytical, focus on the math.
Yes.
Yes. So that's first thing. The second thing is move your body. Third is smiling brightly. Like when you smile and you say something stupid, you still like the physical part of you smiling forces you to be happy. Right?
Yes.
So I
fake it until you make it, even with smiling.
Smiling, it changes things, right? And then another thing is, to your point, when you can't be grateful and upset at the same time.
Yes.
It's impossible, right?
Yes.
So force yourself every day, like you, in the morning before I wake up, like in bed, I think, what are 3 things that I'm grateful for? And when I go to bed, what are 3 things that I'm grateful for that happened during the day?
Exactly the same for me. Yeah.
And then lastly, similar to what you said, just do something you love. Because when you do that, you'll elevate and you'll cultivate energy. And the importance of energy is at that peak state, that's when you can come up with the solutions for the most creative problems or the most complicated problems, right? You need that fuel to get it done. The fuel is not money, it's not time, it's not food. It's purely just your passion and the energy within you. That's your fuel.
Yeah, and one, I totally agree with everything you said, Jess. And one thing, like you and I are kind of born to be extra extrovert, and like
extra.
Normally tend to be on a high energy. This is our gift, right?
Right.
But like I don't know how is it for you, but for me, that the downside or the other side of that is I tend to get nervous. Because I'm always high, I'm like literally natural high. If you just give me a dance music, I'm just natural high.
Yeah.
But then I realized the best idea, most innovative idea that I had, most in life as well as in career, is when I'm relaxed. So I literally need to know and learn how I can relax and just be like doing nothing. You know, I get very anxious, like doing nothing, just lying there. Unless I was drinking. So like I really like drinking. So I think, you know, that the balance of a peak state, but also relaxed, is where gets you in the flow and gets you the most innovative and best results.
No, I'm with you. I agree with you on that. I think it depends on the person, right? Like you definitely need to be on a high mindset, but maybe not like your heart pouncing and racing. Yeah. Maybe that's not the best time to build that idea. But it's like, it's either whenever you feel the most in line with who you are.
Aligned, like your podcast.
Exactly.
Yes.
We're staying aligned, you know? Yeah. Stay on brand.
Yeah.
So with that, you mentioned nervousness, which is kind of I would say a subset of fear. So let's talk about fear, because fear paralyzes every single person. The reason why you don't do things or go for things is because of fear. So what is fear's role in our life? How do we use it? Can we get rid of it? What are your thoughts on that, Yuan?
Yeah, this is a complicated topic and slightly darker than what we were talking about. I'm not sure we can get rid of fear. And I don't know whether it's a good thing to completely get rid of fear, because if you're not fear of pain, you might just, you know, there are people who actually couldn't feel pain. That's why their life is so dangerous. Like in their body, it's a symptom that if you can't feel pain or fear, if you can't feel pain, you will not be able to avoid danger. If you cannot feel fear, then you might do something bad. Right? Because there's no limit to things you could do. Sometimes that's a bad thing. So I think it's how to actively channel that energy of fear into your drive and passion to power and fuel you, but not let that fear to dominate you. So it's a delicate balance of, because of fear, you're paralyzed and cannot do anything. And because of fear, you are cautious and to actually cautiously proceed to your goal. So I don't think we can get rid of fear. It's just how we channel that energy to a better state, to a higher state.
Yes.
Like there are literally different level of energy, like from grave to selfish to fear, and all the way to gratitude, to giving, to sharing, to compassion, right? So with that level of energy, how do we elevate fear and channel that into the next level, which is drive?
Yeah, I love that. 100% echo and believe you and agree with you. You cannot get rid of fear, and you don't want to, right? Because the way I look at it is fear just points down to what you really care about in life.
Absolutely, yes.
Like if you didn't care about that job, if you didn't care about that girl you're trying to ask out, you wouldn't be nervous.
Yeah,
you form right in, like
you don't really care. Yeah,
mess it up. So I always argue, and I tell myself, like, if I'm fearful or I get nervous or I get that weird tingle in my stomach about something, I need to do it. I must do it because I want it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have that fear, right? And so, like, if you think back, I always remind myself, like, Jess, when you were a baby or you're a child, you liked something. I didn't care if I got rejected or not.
Exactly.
I just do it, right? It's the action, it's the inertia. It's kind of getting things going and started.
It reminds me, like, one of the things Tony also mentioned is when you're in action, you actually don't have fear.
Exactly.
It's that like you want to do something, but you're so fearful to do that, and you're just kind of in between gray area. That's where fear will overwhelm you.
Yep. Movement is the word for me this year, where just keep moving, right? Like you can always tweak, you can pedal back if you need to, but you got to keep moving because to your point, you're going to get paralyzed in the in-between, right? So I'm with you. I'm really big on using fear to guide you on what you must do. And
I like that concept.
Right? The other thing is, I was going to say, most people in life get paralyzed and they stop at fear, which means no one's going after what you want anyway. So you literally have no competition, right? Like you're ever scared, oh, like I'm not good enough to do this. I'm not good enough to have that. I'm like, is anyone else trying? I don't think so. So you might as well, right?
Yeah, because it's such a common feeling for everyone.
It's such a common feeling.
We're not alone in that.
Right, exactly. And I think one thing is Tony also says this: a beautiful life is not the absence of pain or fear, but overcoming them and having a wonderful life in spite of their existence. Right, like
that's beautiful. Yeah.
To your point about 2020, it's been a shit year for a lot of people, right? But it's also been a huge growth year at the same time. So what do you focus on? What are you putting your attention on, right? And let's talk about focus. So we talked about focus. Why is it so important on what we focus on? How does it affect our life? What is focus? I want to put some light on.
Okay. I'll wait for you to come back and focus.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to put some light so I can see you.
Perfect. Okay, focus. Yeah. In another Tony's quote come to mind. So where the focus goes, your energy flows, right? So if you focus on the negative things, your energy drops down like naturally. If you focus on, because for everything, there's a good side and bad side. You can always choose to focus on the not so good side and drive your energy down. Then you're just in a vicious spiral, the down spiral. Like, I think you're very, very wise in using pandemic as an example. Like 2020 is not easy for anyone, but I think what I learned spending the entire year by myself is, especially as an extrovert, like social butterfly type of person, is to actually discover, hey, it's not too bad to be with yourself. Like, it's good to get along with yourself and be introspect and think about what is important, what is your why, and read and exercise. I discovered the beauty of being with oneself and at peace with oneself, which I think is an essential life skill, right? And I think the pandemic gave us the luxury to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what I focus on in the pandemic. And sometimes it's difficult because you're just going crazy. But at that going crazy moment, I do some meditation, I talk to friends, and then you bring your focus back from the not so positive and not so productive side to the brighter side.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I want to mention about focus, where you focus. The other thing is why focus is important, right? One of my also challenges is I like so many things. I get distracted all the freaking time. Like, oh my God, today I want to sing and I want to write an article. I need to do deals. I need to talk to so many friends. But as I grow older, right, I realize life is short and you have limited time. It's really depending on that why, as you mentioned. What's your why? First, you identify that. I think that's most difficult part for us to understand what's that why. Once you have the why, then you know what is the goal and then what to focus on.
Yes.
All the people that are successful in business, let's just use business for example, all of them that I know are like laser focused with a purpose, right? And that's something that I need to learn because I tend to get distracted all the time. But the other school, this is actually a really interesting topic because I was like, if one was naturally born to be distracted, does that mean we will fail? We're destined to fail, right? So what I learned is if you have multiple passions and you like so many different things, you cannot force yourself to focus on just one thing.
Yep.
Instead, you channel that and make that your advantage. I feel like business development, sales, like that kind of communicating with people, it requires you to multitasking and like realize different things at the same time. And that's why I really like venture investing, because I feel like if I'm just focused on building one thing, I can't focus and I got so bored. But if you are like a venture investor, you're literally looking at different things, you're doing different deals and you're putting connections together. So that's how it's not a very focused career or path, but you can leverage that. You focus to be a good VC by not focusing on one thing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's why I'm with you. Of course, people who are successful are very laser focused. But I think to your point, they're focused on their why. They're not so caught up on how.
Yes. Right? So well said. Yeah.
It's so important because like for example, like you are clearly a person that wants to and can handle different things and not just do one thing deeply. Then that's your gift. You just need to partner someone who likes to do things deeply, right?
Yes.
That's it. Like you're not supposed to be able to do everything. I think the big lie that I was told when like my first job was like, oh, you need to work on your weaknesses. And like I agreed to that extent, but I'm like, no, you got to go all in your strength, right?
Yes, we had that conversation first time I met you. Like it's so enlightening. Yeah.
Oh, and it's like, it's just drop your ego to say like, I need to do everything. Like, no. Go all in what you're good at and then find your complement. You know what I mean?
Yes. And to not there is a long time in my life, I was trying to be someone that I'm not. I'm like, there is a common wisdom that you need to be laser focused because it's how people do it. But if you force yourself to be that, which you are not born with, that's not aligned with your nature.
I agree.
And you might still be successful, but the process of getting there is longer and more painful.
No, I agree. And I think the biggest thing that we're kind of touching on is we're not victims of our life. Like be the victor. Like no matter what happens to you, you gotta find the silver lining. And it's not like being woo-woo. It's like that is literally how you create your outcome. Like it's like no one complains and says like, oh, I was only given this, I was only given that. You can complain about it, but these are the cards you were dealt. So what are you gonna do? Like when you play cards, do you complain like all of these terrible hands? Like you probably wouldn't win. Versus the guy across from you is like, this is kind of horrible, but you know what? I'm not gonna make it work. That's the guy who's gonna be successful.
Yes, and it's so funny because yesterday I was listening to Blinkist, which I love, right? And one of the Blinkist is the name of the book is how do you fail at everything but still like succeed at the end, right? Yeah. And what it says is it's the importance of building a system. It's not about you fail how many times, but it's the system that you build for your life. It's the routine that you're doing something every day to make incremental changes that leads to your end results.
Yeah, exactly. It's a journey. Stop being so laser focused on the inputs or the output, but focus on the actual process itself, right?
Exactly.
Love that. And now let's talk a little bit about external forces, or like external feedback versus internal feedback, right? Kind of related to fear. Oftentimes what we get paralyzed is for the fear of judgment, the fear of failure, the fear of success. Like, I might be so successful, I'm no longer part of, my family might, like, say I'm a different person now, or my friends might be like, you're different now, right? So, how do we kind of keep core to ourselves and our beliefs and our own visions when external forces may giving us negative feedback? So how do we deal with that relationship? And then secondly is, what do you think about your own internal vision, or why do you think we're given visions? Even if sometimes it's ludicrous, it may be crazy, but you have the same thing as me, where you always have this constant vision in your mind. Like, what do you think is the purpose of that?
Yeah, so I'll start with, those are two difficult questions. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the first one, is how do you deal with your internal feedback and external feedback, especially when external feedback is not so positive, like when the two are not aligned, right?
Yes.
I think it's so important, especially now. Every day we just experienced what happened in Washington, D.C. yesterday, and a lot of people are saying it's because of social media leads to the peak of this tragedy situation. So at an age where social media constantly give us external validation and invalidation, I feel like it's very important to tune that out, right? So like, I'm like literally off Facebook right now and not really using a lot of social media. I find it a lot of distraction. And the second thing, like, so first is social media, like your delicate balance, because I know, like, for business, we also need to use social media to build a personal brand, but at the same time, to not let the likes or the dislikes from someone who you don't even know to impact your life. Like, when I see people on social media and like looking to get validation from the click, okay, I will show you this. This is actually from Tony Robbins. Like, people are looking for this constantly. Or even better, look for this constantly. But do you realize most times, like, if you have 1,000 or 10,000 people on Facebook, most of those people, I don't even know who they are. Like, why would you let other random people's feedback dominate your internal feedback, right? So I think that's one thing to think about, social media and not so core people in your life and their feedback. It doesn't really mean much, right? The second thing is, I think we, again, as Asian, right? Or I think this not even an Asian thing. We grew up with a socially defined or externally defined definition of success, right? Is what type of car, what type of brand, what type of house. Like, this is not even my house, it's a virtual background. I feel like I need to like fake it until I make it. Like, those are all the subconscious telling me how like success would look like, right? And it's very natural because that's how we grew up. Like, and Hollywood and all this culture, capitalist culture, is not really helpful to help us define success our own way. So, every day, I think, again, coming back to your point about why, and also coming to your second question, like why that mission is important. I don't know how I get this, but I always, throughout my life, I have a sense of purpose. Like, I know that I'm not just like randomly on this earth, that I have a job, have a dog, get married, have kids, and become parents and grandparents and die. Like, I feel like life is a little bit more than that. Like, the mundane of things are nice and beautiful, and we should all find meaning in that. But I always feel like there is something that God gave me that is unique, and I need to do something with that to make a positive impact in my life, in my community, not only just for me, for the people I love, for my community, but also for the world, right? I know it sounds like BS, but the more I get older, the more you give to a broader audience, the more the universe will give you feedback.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, and that purpose of life changes.
Yeah.
I think in different stage of my life, I feel like my purpose is different. It evolves.
Yeah.
It evolves with your energy level, with your conscious level, and with, you know, how much influence you have. And that I think it's important to, number one, constantly, not constantly, but like once in a while, reflect on that why, and always growing, right? As you grow, your why will change, and hopefully it's become bigger, brighter, and more impact.
Yeah, I'm with you. 100% with you. I think the inner versus the outer dialogue it just bewilders me how, you know, you yourself, whatever age you are, right? You lived in your body for, let's say, 22 years, okay? You know yourself for 22 years, and
I'm a little longer than that.
Well, I'm not. I'm just making it up. Like, let's say
I know. I'm just
35 years. Let's make it a little bit more longer. 35 years. Like, you live yourself for 35 years. Okay. You know your strengths. You know your weaknesses. You're really gonna let someone that you met 2 seconds ago, or a year, 5 years, 10 years, tell you whether or not you can do something? It's literally, anyway, it's just crazy to me. And so I'm really big believers. Certainty is created by you. It's powered by your why. It's powered by your spirit. It's not powered by external circumstances, right? Look at the most powerful companies today. They were created during the Great Financial Crisis.
Yes.
So how do you use it, right? Are you going to say, "Oh, like woe is me. This economy is crap." When the stock market was crashing earlier this year for, like, I don't know, a couple days, if that, people freaked out. And then what do the contrarians do? Double dip, triple dip.
Shopping time.
Shopping. Let's go shopping. It's time to buy. Everything's on sale. So what do you do with it? And I would say I'm so big on, you need to know what is constructive criticism versus what is just judgment. And people will do that.
Yes.
People will just, because they have people's judgment is
their own uncertainty and
yes.
their own fear. They reflect on others.
Right. It's like they're like, well, I couldn't do it, so why could she do it? Well, that's because you are yourself and you don't have the drive that I do, and you don't have the creativity that I do. So I think it's so important to separate who has your best interest, who actually is giving you constructive criticism, and who's just someone who's just passing judgment to, like, just kind of stop you from succeeding, or it's their own limitations, right? Huge difference. Certainty is created by you, not other people. That's huge for me. And then to your point about, like, that inner why is, I know, like, to be fair, I think we are one of the lucky people who had the why, and we had it young. A lot of people don't have it, or not that they don't have it. They have it. They don't realize they have it. They don't realize.
I think everyone has that.
Everyone has it, right? But they're just, whether it be mom and dad, society says, nope, you need to be this, you need to be that.
Yeah.
They didn't have the time to sit stilly and really think about, what is my why, right? So for people who haven't done the work, like, do the work. You're at home anyway.
Yes.
Right? Figure it out. Because, like, it is so easy to be swayed by the likes, the hearts, the external validation if you are in core with your why, right? For example, if I'm getting liked 1,000 likes for being a bad person, and that is not my core, I don't want those likes, right? I'm really mindful of the likes that I'm getting.
So true.
You know, and even, like, for people, like, I get feedback, like constructive, positive and negative feedback on the podcast, and things that people are like, oh, think about this, think about that. I always think, well, is this aligned with my why? Is this aligned with how I want to show up, right? Is this a marketing scam, or I'm here to spread a mission and spread a message? And if it's not aligned with my message, I don't care. I don't care if all these hashtags and, like, posting is going to get me more followers. I don't want those followers. They're not organic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I think that's why we're always talking about have a strong core, both in physically and spiritually.
Yes.
Right. Once you know that why, and I used to think more smaller than now, right? I used to think very focused on myself, and how do I make more money? How do I become that to that level? But now, like, as I get a little older, I feel like the beauty lies in to share and giving,
Yeah.
and make an impact on something just bigger than you,
Yeah.
like even bigger than your family and your community. And really, and that's when you get abundance
Yeah.
from the universe.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think when you're aiming bigger, and one of our dear friends, Ariana, said to me when I started this, she's like, Jess,
I love her.
aim big. Well, Ariana, she's definitely watching this. We love you. She's always like, think so big and you'll figure it out. Lots of likes, lots of hearts, right?
All of that.
Throw some coins at her too. Yeah. No, I agree. So I think just to kind of summarize the things that we talked about today, the importance of abundant mindset, I think is pretty clear. If you want to have kind of a limitless lifestyle and a way of achieving and all the success that however you define it in your way, you need to have a peak state, or get your body in that kind of peak state, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, is your thoughts. What you focus on is so important. The meanings that you give to things that happen to you is what defines your life. And third is, we talk about it over and over again, but it's true. Know your why and know your core. Otherwise, you're going to be easily swayed. So, Ewan, I want to thank you, because I always feel like we have such good jamming sessions, and you always remind me to like even be more abundant. Like, I'll live my little world abundance, and then you have your world and you completely expand it. So I just want to thank you for that. And I feel everyone has a gift, and I know you have many, many gifts. If you had to think, no, you do. Not that I think, I know. What would you say is your biggest gift for humanity, and how will you use it?
Wow, let's end on a bang. My biggest gift, I think it's to connect with myself, to connect with other people, and to connect with grace and abundance. I used to only think, I literally was asking myself what I'm best at. And people always tell me, you make friends with everyone, you just naturally attract people. So I was like, oh, I'm really good at connecting with people. But now I think I'm first, because I'm connected to myself. Like, I try to be authentic, and to be direct. And I think that's what attracts people to me. Now, this, through Tony Robbins, but also through last year, a lot of good things actually happened to me last year. It's unbelievable. It's almost unfair, I feel like. And even this year, my focus is how to connect with grace, how to tap into that universal abundance. So the connection with grace. I wanted just to really end with a bang. What my biggest takeaway from Tony Robbins is I just went to the Date with Destiny seminar at the end of last year. And one of the biggest achievement for everyone is to understand what's your mission statement for your life. Just like you're a company, you're your own company, every company, successful company at least, has a mission statement, and their actions are aligned with that. But as an individual, what is our mission statement? And literally the entire 6 days, every day, 15 hours, grinding with Tony Robbins come down to what is your mission statement. And no one can tell you, no one can teach you. It is you. It is that why, right? And I want to share what's mine. Yeah. So after 6 days not sleeping, at the peak state, and my mission statement is that I am a beacon of joy. I ignite passion. I connect with grace, and I share abundance in myself and with others. And every day now I wake up and I think that's my mission statement. Now go and do it.
I'm getting chills, girl. Oh my God. Aww. Thank you so much. I love you so much. And
love you too.
I'm so excited for your journey, our journey. A lot of fun things to come. So thank you again. And we'll definitely have you back soon for another topic.
Thank you, Jess. And congratulations on launching Align and launching your own company. I'm a big fan of yours. And I think you'll go so far in life and make such big impact in so many people. You already do. You did the first time I met you. And I think that, you didn't ask me, but I think, you have this amazing gift of realize other people's gift and empower them. at such a young age, and you're so beautiful. So I'm so excited for you and love you so much.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, you're gonna make me cry. We'll definitely jam together on more things to come.
Definitely.
Thanks, love. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye.